I didn't realize silence could feel so loud until it stopped ringing. The phone was on the counter, screen glowing, face up. Mom, that's how he saved her. I was rinsing a cup that was already clean, water running longer than necessary. The apartment smelled like lemon soap and something warm from the oven. Comfort smells, safe smells, the kind that make you believe nothing is wrong. The phone vibrated again. I didn't move, not because I hated her, not because I wanted to hurt anyone, because in that moment, I told myself a story I wanted to believe. I'm protecting my marriage. The vibration stopped. The screen went dark, and the quiet that followed felt heavy. Like I'd set something down I wouldn't be able to pick back up. Omar was in the shower. I could hear the water through the door. Steady, familiar. We'd been married long enough to recognize each other by sounds. His footsteps, his breathing, the way he hummed without realizing it. The phone stayed silent. When he came out, hair damp, sleeves rolled, he glanced at the counter the way people do when they're not trying to look. His eyes flicked, just for a second. Was that my mom? He asked. I didn't turn around. I didn't hear it. The lie landed softly, too softly. He nodded, like he was accepting a minor inconvenience. Okay, that should have been the end of it. But something about the way he said okay flat, careful, made my chest tighten. He opened the fridge. The light spilled across the floor, containers stacked neatly. The life we'd built, organized, labeled. You want dinner? He asked. I shook my head. I ate earlier. Another lie. I hadn't been hungry all evening, not for food. He paused, door still open. You've been quiet lately. I'm just tired. He closed the fridge slowly, leaned against the counter, looked at me. Not directly, but close enough. You say that when you don't want to talk? I finally turned. Do we need to talk about everything? The question hung between us. He didn't answer right away. I feel like something's off, he said. And I don't know if it's me or work. Or your mom? I finished. He flinched. Not dramatically. Just enough. That's not fair, he said. I crossed my arms. Isn't it? He rubbed his face. The tired gesture he did when he felt pulled in two directions. She worries, he said. She calls because she cares. I know, I said, and I meant it. But every time she calls, you disappear, you soften, you come back different. Different how? Like I interrupted something, I said. Like I asked for too much. He looked down, then back up. That's not what's happening. It feels like it. Silence again. Not the calm kind, the kind that presses. I'm not asking you to choose, I said quickly. Too quickly. I'm just asking for space. Space from my mother? Space for us. He stared at the counter. So, you ignored her call. There it was. Not a question anymore. I swallowed. I didn't ignore it. I just didn't answer. He gave a small, humorless laugh. That's the same thing. Is it? I asked. Because when she calls during dinner, you answer. When she calls during our arguments, you answer. When she calls when we're finally quiet. She's my mother, and I'm your wife. The words came out sharper than I intended. He stepped back, like he'd been pushed. I didn't know we were keeping score, he said. I didn't know I had to compete, I replied. He opened his mouth, closed it, looked at the phone again. She hasn't called back, he said softly. Something twisted in my stomach, a quick, unwelcome pinch of guilt. She will, I said. She always does. But the truth I didn't say, the truth I didn't want to look at, was that I had already imagined what it would feel like if she didn't. If the calls slowed, if the space grew, if he leaned toward me without being pulled somewhere else. I just want us to be okay, I said. He nodded. So do I. And for a moment, we stood there, both believing we meant the same thing. The phone stayed silent, and for the first time, I wondered if protecting my marriage meant deciding who didn't get to speak. Nadia didn't call the next day. That was the first thing I noticed when I woke up. Not the light through the curtains, not Omar already gone from bed. The silence. I told myself it meant nothing. She was busy. She had a life before us. I repeated that, like a calm sentence you say out loud to stop your hands from shaking. In the kitchen, Omar stood by the window with his coffee, staring down at the street. like something might explain itself if he waited long enough. "Did you sleep?" I asked. "A little." His voice sounded careful again, like he was measuring every word before letting it go. I poured coffee I didn't want. Stood too close to the counter, too far from him. "She didn't call," he said. I shrugged. "Maybe she realized you were busy." He turned to look at me. "She doesn't stop calling because I'm busy." The sentence landed heavier than he expected. "Well," I said, "maybe she's giving us space." "Since when does my mother give space?" I didn't answer because I didn't know whether I was relieved or unsettled. That evening, she texted him. Not a long message. Just, "Call me when you can." Omar read it. Didn't reply. He set the phone down slowly, like it might break if he moved too fast. "You can call her," I said. "I know." Minutes passed. He didn't move. "You don't have to ask me," I added. "I'm not asking, but you're waiting." He looked at me then. Really looked. "I don't want this to turn into a thing," he said. "What thing?" "Where I feel like I have to explain every call." I crossed my arms. "You didn't explain, you asked." "I asked because something changed." "Yes," I said quietly. "It did." The next few days followed a strange rhythm. Nadia texted instead of calling short messages, neutral words. "How are you? Hope you're well. Tell me if you need anything." Omar read them all, replied to none. At first, I told myself it was his choice. Then I noticed how often he checked his phone, how he stared at it before putting it face down, how his answers to me got shorter. "You okay?" I asked one night as we lay in bed, backs turned. "Yeah, you sure? Can we not do this right now?" I went quiet. Not because I agreed, because silence had started to feel powerful. A week passed. Nadia still hadn't called. Omar finally said it out loud at dinner, halfway through a sentence about work. "She thinks I'm mad at her." I looked up. Did she say that? Number, but she knows. "You could tell her you're not." "And say what?" he asked. "That I stopped answering because my wife needed space?" "I didn't ask you to stop answering. You didn't have to." The words hung there, sharp. "So, this is my fault?" I asked. "No," he said quickly. "I'm just saying you're saying I made you choose." He sighed. "I'm saying I don't like how quiet everything feels." That night, I heard him on the balcony. Low voice. Careful words. "I just needed some time." "No, she's fine. I'll come by soon." He ended the call before I could hear more. When he came back in, his face was different. Not angry, not relieved, heavy. "She cried," he said. I felt something cold move through my chest. "About what?" "She said she didn't know what she did wrong." I sat up. "Did you tell her this was your decision?" He hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. "You didn't," I said. "I didn't blame you," he said defensively. "But you didn't stop her from blaming herself." He ran a hand through his hair. "I didn't know how." I nodded slowly. "So it's easier if she thinks she hurt you than if she thinks I asked for boundaries. That's not fair, isn't it?" He stared at the floor. "You wanted space. I wanted balance. And now?" he asked. I opened my mouth, closed it, because the truth was uncomfortable. Now, I wanted control. Not over him, over the noise, over who had access to our quiet. The next morning, Nadia showed up. No call, no warning, just a knock. I opened the door and there she was, standing too straight, purse clutched in both hands, eyes careful like she'd rehearsed this moment. "I didn't know if I should come," she said, behind me. I felt Omar freeze. "I just wanted to see you," she continued. "Both of you." Her eyes flicked to me, polite, searching. I stepped aside. "Of course." She sat on the edge of the couch, didn't take her coat off. Omar hovered, unsure where to place himself. "I didn't mean to intrude," she said. You stopped calling." "I've been busy," he said. She nodded too quickly. I figured. Silence stretched. Then she looked at me. "If I did something wrong." I felt the room tilt slightly. "I don't want to cause problems," she said. "I only want my son to be happy." Omar glanced at me, and in that moment, I realized something that scared me. She wasn't fighting me. She was stepping back, and the power I thought I wanted suddenly felt heavier than I expected. After Nadia left, The apartment felt smaller, not quieter, smaller. Like the walls had moved closer while we weren't paying attention. Omar didn't say much. He walked her to the door, stood there a little too long, then came back in and leaned against it like he needed the support. She didn't even sit properly, he said. Did you notice that? I nodded. I had noticed everything. She thought she was in the way, he continued. In her own son's house. I tried to sound calm. She came without calling. She didn't want to disturb us, he replied. The sentence landed wrong, not loud, just final. That night, he didn't touch me in bed, not even accidentally. We slept back to back, a polite distance between us, like guests who didn't know each other well enough to share space. The next day, he stayed late at work. The day after that, he forgot to tell me he'd invited Nadia to lunch, alone. He didn't hide it. He just didn't include me. When he came home, he took his shoes off slowly, like he was bracing himself. She asked if you were upset with her, he said. And I asked. I told her no. I waited. She asked why you stopped calling. My chest tightened. I didn't stop her from calling. She said she felt dismissed. Dismissed? Like a door gently closed instead of slammed. I never told her not to call, I said. But you wanted fewer calls. I wanted fewer interruptions. He exhaled. She doesn't know the difference. Neither did I anymore. A few days later, I overheard him on the phone again, not whispering this time, not hiding. I just don't want her to feel pushed out, he said. She's been alone since my father died. Yeah, I know. I should have handled it better. I stood in the hallway unseen. Something shifted then, not dramatically, quietly. I realized I hadn't protected our marriage. I'd changed its shape. That evening, Nadia called. Not his phone. Mine. I stared at the screen like it was a mirror. Omar was in the kitchen. He looked up. That's my mom. I see that. Are you going to answer? I hesitated, then I did. Hello. Her voice sounded relieved. Too relieved. I hope it's okay I called you, she said quickly. I didn't want to go through Omar again. Why not? I asked. Silence. I didn't want to put him in the middle, she said finally. The words stung more than accusation would have. I never meant to make you feel unwelcome, she continued. I don't know where I fit anymore. I looked at Omar. He was watching me carefully, not controlling, waiting. I wanted space, I said, not distance. I don't know how to do that, she replied. I only know how to step back. After the call, Omar sat across from me. She's afraid, he said. Not of you, of losing me. And what about you? I asked. He didn't answer right away. I'm afraid too, he admitted, of choosing wrong. The truth settled between us. I hadn't asked him to choose, but I had created a situation where someone would lose. A week later, he told me something he hadn't planned to. She's thinking of moving closer, he said. But she won't. If you're uncomfortable. I laughed softly. She's making life decisions based on whether I answer the phone. That's not fair, he said. No, I agreed. It's not. That night, I lay awake realizing something painful and clear. Power doesn't always look like control. Sometimes it looks like being quiet long enough for someone else to disappear. And I had mistaken silence for strength. Next morning, I called Nadia. Not to explain. Not to defend myself. Just to speak. She answered on the first ring. I didn't want to bother you, she said immediately. You weren't, I replied. And for the first time, it didn't feel like something I had to convince myself of. We met at a small cafe near her apartment. Neutral ground, no one's territory. She chose a seat by the window, hands folded, posture careful. I don't want to be in the way, she said before the coffee arrived. I know things change when children grow up. Omar wasn't there. That mattered. I don't want you out of the picture, I said. I wanted our marriage to feel like it had room to breathe. She nodded slowly. I thought stepping back was the kind thing. It felt like disappearing, I said. Her eyes softened. I didn't know how else to help. We sat there, two women realizing we'd been solving different problems with the same silence. That evening, Omar listened while I told him everything. I didn't dramatize it. I didn't accuse. I confused quiet with control, I said, and I didn't see what it cost. He leaned back, eyes closed for a moment. I should have spoken sooner. Yes, I said, but I should have listened. Things didn't fix themselves overnight. Nadia didn't start calling every day again. I didn't flinch when her name lit up a screen. Omar stopped standing in doorways like he was waiting for permission. We made space without erasing anyone. Months later, I realized something simple and uncomfortable. Protecting a marriage doesn't mean deciding who gets less. It means learning how not to disappear each other. Sometimes power isn't choosing silence. Sometimes it's choosing to speak before someone else feels they no longer can. The phone still rings, and now, when it does, I let it.